Well, hello. Can you believe that I used to drive one of these when I was in high school? They let a 16-year-old drive one of these and they had 40 to 50 elementary kids on it. Looking back, probably not the smartest idea. Speaking of not such smart ideas, not testing your house for radon.
So what is radon? Radon is a gas that you cannot touch, see, smell, or taste. It is the breakdown of uranium that comes from the ground and can enter into your home. High radon levels are not only a material fact in North Carolina, but a huge hazard to anyone that has prolonged exposure. Radon is found to be the second leading cause of lung cancer amongst non-smokers and the first leading cause of cancer in smokers. Long-term exposure can cause irreversible damage to your lungs. One person dies from radon every 25 minutes. So with so many deaths coming from this, how can we prevent prolonged exposure? How likely is it that your home has radon? And is mitigation going to be time-consuming and expensive? For these answers, I'm going to go ahead and pass this back to our bus driver, Preston. Preston?
I want to talk to you a little bit about radon. Did you know that 1 in 15 houses test for radon levels above 4 picocuries per liter? You're probably asking, Preston, what does that mean? 4 picocuries per liter are the EPA recommended action level. If your house has 4 picocuries per liter, the EPA recommends that you take action on your house. Now, how do you know what your levels are of radon? You're going to have to test, and that's what we're going to do now. Chip is going to test the house for radon, and he'll talk to you about different types of tests. There's a passive and an active test. The passive test is the charcoal test, and the active test is a continuing monitor. We're going to use the continuing monitor, which is the best in real estate. The charcoal tests are fine for homeowners and things like that, but the problem with those in real estate are a couple of things. Number one, they take over a week, where the continuous monitor, you can get the results in 48 hours. Number two, in real estate, the charcoal thing, they can cheat on that and you will not know. Don't you be putting a bowl over it. See, you could cheat the test, the seller could. Now, in the continuous monitor, it tells if it's been tampered. It knows if it's been tampered or altered with. So that's why we recommend getting a certified, a radon certified tester to test your house. And there's 3 organizations that are recognized, and we'll talk about those later in the video. But first, let's go to Chip. Chip's going to be testing the house. A couple of things to keep in mind. He's looking for the lowest living area of the house. He also has to get the monitor 20 inches off the ground and away from the wall. The thinking is that it's where you would be breathing if you would be taking on the radon. We're going to talk a little bit more in the video about radon and the causes of it. But first, let's go to Chip and see him testing the house, and he's going to talk a little bit more about what he's doing. But I need you to know that he's going to put up a sign when he's testing. It's going to take 48 hours. He doesn't want the sellers to interfere with the test. He can tell if they have, but he also has them sign an agreement saying that they won't, and explain that if they do interfere or tamper with it, he will know.
My name is Chip Sprague with Home Inspection Carolina. I'm a licensed certified radon specialist. I just want to explain to you two types of radon devices that we have here that you can use when testing your home. We have a charcoal, which is a passive test. We have an active test, which is a continuous monitor test. There's benefits and negatives to both. Let's talk about the benefits for the charcoal. You can get the charcoal online at ncradon.org. You can get it at your local hardware store, and it's a lot cheaper than having a continuous monitor test. That's one of the benefits for that. The negative, though, is you cannot determine whether that charcoal has been tampered with, whereas the positive on the continuous monitor will tell you whether anyone has tampered with that. With a continuous monitor, it takes hourly readings, and you'll get a printed report after the testing period has been done, which shows you all of those hourly readings. From those hourly readings, you can determine whether there has been a spike somewhere. Was there a thunderstorm last night? We can go back to that and look at that and see by the thunderstorm holding the barometric pressure down closer to the ground will hold the radon closer to the ground, which is going to increase the levels. It'll also tell you whether it's been tampered with, whether it's been unplugged. Some boxes also tell you the humidity. If I were to cover this box up, it will tell me if someone has tampered with this or moved this box around. Whereas the charcoal, unfortunately, does not do that. I could put a cover over that charcoal and I will never know the difference. So by sending that charcoal out, you're going to get the overall results. By getting the continuous monitor, you're going to get every hourly result. which in essence is going to give you more detailed reporting on your home and what's actually going on in your home within that 48-hour period. Mr. Scott, I've got your radon results here. We provide you a report that details about the testing and how we test everything, but what I want to talk to you about today is your actual overall results. You've got a 48-hour result window here that we've done for you. The nice thing about our monitoring system is that you can get the results back immediately versus doing it charcoal way, it may take a week. So we can get you that information. The other benefit that you'll see here, before I go into the numbers, is everything's really clean. If it was tampered with or unplugged along those lines, you would see a P or a T next to the numbers, which would indicate that it was either tampered or unplugged. So that tells us within that particular hour or that time frame whether it was tampered with. But what I want to show you is, throughout these results, you have an overall EPA average from our testing period of 0.7, which is fantastic. The action level for mitigation would be at 4.0. So 4.0 picocuries, then you'd be required to install a mitigation system at that point in time, but you're good to go. As far as that is, you're way below that, as you can see.
Awesome. What's the average?
The overall average within the country is 1.3 picocuries.
Wow.
So you're
Half
well
of that.
below
Awesome.
that. Yeah, so you're doing really good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So that homeowner was lucky. His test results came back and he was below the national average, and he was even below the EPA's recommended action level. So what happens if a homeowner isn't as lucky as that guy and his results come back over 4 picocuries per liter? Well, at that point, he has a couple of options. He can, number one, he can just back out of the deal. He can ask for monies from the transaction to have a remediation, or he can ask the sellers to remediate. So if we remediate, what's that look like?
Hello, my name is David with Reliable Radon Solutions, and I'm here to sort of walk you through the installation of a radon mitigation system. In this case, this house is tested above 4.0, so they've elected to install a radon mitigation system. Our first step is to sort of figure out where we want to locate that pipe and that system so that it's A, aesthetically pleasing, and B, it's going to work and it's actually going to mitigate the house and make it healthy. The first thing we do is we select our location for the pipe, drill a test hole, and then we'll drill a few other test holes throughout the slab in the accessible areas, and we actually do a pressure test to make sure that the airflow is reaching those outer areas of the slab. So what we're looking to do is create negative pressure underneath the slab. We're catching the stone layer that's underneath the concrete, and we're actually pulling the air through that and venting it out of the house. So step 2 of the process will actually be testing the airflow underneath the slab, and for that we've got some specialized tools that we use. And essentially what we do is we go to our drilled test holes and we insert the tubing that's connected to our pressure indicator, and we make sure that we are getting negative pressure underneath the slab. That means that that air is actually pulling through and not getting blocked or interfered with. And now that we've determined that we have good airflow underneath the slab based on where we've chosen to set up our system, the next step is to actually install the pipe. So as you can see, that's what we did here. We drilled out our hole, made it a little bigger. We actually inserted the pipe, vented it up and out the side of the house. Now that this part is installed, we can actually go outside, hook up the fan itself, and vent it up the side of the house to a safe location. All right, so this is the finished product. This is the radon fan that has been installed. This is a service disconnect in case you ever need to work on or service the unit. You can shut it off right here. And as you can see, it is vented up the side of the house, around the eave, to a safe location. Now this is a newer style fan. It's sort of been redesigned. It's not very common, and you really need the correct slab conditions to use this style fan. Otherwise, they look like the traditional radon fan. Now that we've installed the fan and the pipes on the outside of the house, our last step is to install the pressure indicator. A lot of people think this is a radon tester. It is not. It just indicates the pressure that's being pulled through the system and through the pipes to let you know the fan is working properly. As you can see, it's out of level, which means it is creating negative pressure and the fan is working properly. If you ever see these indicators level, that means something is wrong with the fan. Even if it's running, if it's level, then something's wrong and it needs to be looked at. Also, you'll note here that we do have a radon reduction system label. That is important. As you see, it looks exactly like the standard drain line in the house. You definitely do not want somebody who doesn't know what this is tapping a regular drain line into your radon system. you want to make sure that they know exactly what that is.
In conclusion, we have talked about radon today. We've talked about the health effects associated with radon, and we've talked about radon in the real estate transaction. If that radon is above 4 picocuries per liter, which is the action level recommended by the EPA, we've talked about how that can be reduced. Now, if you're testing your own home, I think charcoals are perfectly fine. You can buy these at Lowe's or Home Depot, send them off. A week later, you'll get the results. But if you're doing a real estate transaction, you need to hire a certified professional. Certified professional is going to come in with a continuous radon monitor, and they would have the results in 48 hours. They can also tell if the seller has tampered with the test. So in a real estate transaction, using a charcoal monitor would be about as smart as hiring a 16-year-old to drive an elementary school bus full of kids. So again, I'm going to recommend that you hire a certified radon professional. I'm going to get back on the road now.